right, welcome in another edition of Coach Speak. Good times await as we have fun every week performing the show. There's Corey Clark and Irish Fell. I'm Jeff Cameron. Ben's producing as always, and we appreciate you joining us as we have fun at Coach's expense each and every week. Or at least sometimes we champion people. Lately, we've had some people do the right thing in postgame. Right. We'll see what we got this week. By the way, artesiawater.com, you see it right there. How about that? Local source, local service, local story. That's all good stuff. We'll tell you more about them shortly. Ben, first up, who do we have? Who's on the list first?
Hey, guys, I don't know about you all, but I love a good sequel. We saw Mack Brown last week and his interesting story that he told. And maybe he was doing a little foreshadowing because his team went and ate the poison cheese against Virginia.
To Virginia, they coach better than us and they play better than us. When you give up 228 yards rushing and only rush for 143, usually you're not going to win the game. And we had chance after chance, but I think you'd have to say that we as coaches didn't prepare them very well. We've talked about the poison cheese and we ate it.
Yeah, nailed it. Why even ask another question?
Do you think Parcells called him like that night? What did I tell you all those years ago with Texas, dummy?
Man, I think if I were local media with Carolina, I'd be tired of the cheese nonsense. Just let's move along here. Good Lord. It applied at the wrong time, and then this happened. And then, although I'll give him credit, he did what every coach should do after a humiliating loss. Just walk in, own that thing, and move it along. What can you say at that point? They coached better than us. They played better than us. We deserve to lose.
You say that, but then he goes and basically blames it all on the players for eating the magical cheese. He's not saying the coaches ate the poison cheese. He's saying the players ate the poison cheese. So I feel like he's heaping all of the blame on the players for eating the hypothetical Bill Parcells cheese.
I don't know. Maybe some of the coaches were eating it too.
Maybe he's talking about he could not help himself.
Is it like a charcuterie board, you think? Like a bunch of different cheeses and a big long table? Or do you think it's like just one slice of Velveeta?
Here's the thing. Here's the problem with cheese, man. Especially you guys who apparently like cheese more than I do.
Yes, of course.
You might even think that there's a chance that it's got rat poison in it. But you're still going to eat that cheese. And that's
some of it smells like it does. The best cheeses smell like it's poison
cheese.
That's the problem.
The smell of cheese, the better the cheese. Yeah. You can't help yourself.
So you understand that Carolina's obviously a wine and cheese school. They're used to a lot of different kinds of cheeses. So you can't blame the players. But they see cheese boards all the time on campus.
That's true.
That's half what that campus is.
It's right there, at the quad. One thing to note, again, though, I want to reiterate, that's how it's done, coaches, for the most part. Walk in looking beleaguered, like you knew you blew it, own it, and move it along here. The press can't do anything with you at that point. Just say, look, guys, I sucked tonight. I was awful, and I cost us a game. Yeah. Next. That's it. What are you going to do? That's the end of it. All right, Ben. Number 2 is who?
I'm so glad that we did the Mack Brown last week because that set us up for success. Jeff Traylor, I don't know if he watched Coach speak. I'm imagining he does. Hey, Coach Traylor. He was watching last week's episode, I guess, and saw Mack's poison cheese story, and then he decided he was going to implement it with UTSA.
Oh, no.
112 of them. Loaded them all up. No, we unloaded all of them, but one of my smart aleck seniors loaded his back up and put it up on the podium where I speak to the kids, and I put my hand there, and it's it looks like my pinky got smashed by a hammer, but it would have killed a lesser man. But I'm okay, JJ. I appreciate you asking.
So he put rat traps out.
Traps with the cheese. We've got a problem here, guys. This is a plague amongst coaches. Can we do something better than these? I mean, stop.
This is what Lombardi was doing.
And he's seriously, like, his finger got messed up in a rat trap this week from his motivational ploy. But it worked for them, though. They won their game. So
I like that some senior player decided, screw coach, I'm going to put this up on the dais and see if he can be dumb enough to snap his finger.
I was going to say, the one thing is to put it up there, but he doesn't have to grab it. Like, he doesn't have to get anywhere near it. So does he not know how they work? Was there a piece of cheese that he was actually trying to grab because he wanted to eat it?
Man, if you are listening to this or watching this and you've never had to set a mousetrap or a rat trap, just be thankful that you
I never
live
have.
in.
Ira, you've had to set a mousetrap?
You've never, ever?
No.
Really? Oh, yeah, I definitely have. In college, and then my first apartment, second apartment in Thomasville, had a little rodent issue. So, yeah, I had to set some as well.
So when you're like laying in bed and all of a sudden you hear snap.
Man, anything here. Well, when I was a little kid, we lived up in upstate New York, and we had a mouse in our house that I wanted to catch. Like I wanted to
keep it as
like
a pet.
I thought it would be a pet. I was like, oh, this is awesome. We have a mouse. Let's catch the mouse. Because every cartoon has mouses, Tom and Jerry, Speedy Gonzales. So I'm all fired up. You couldn't do Speedy Gonzales today, by the way.
Slowpoke Rodriguez.
But anyway, so I wanted it. I didn't know it. Dad set a mousetrap.
Oh.
And guess who found it?
Oh, well, hey.
Dude.
That was a sad day for
you keep him
7-year-old
as a
Ira.
pet?
Speak into child trauma.
You still could have kept him as a pet.
This whole thing, guys, I need a minute. Can I?
Yeah.
Can I come back?
Hang him up on the wall.
Get a grip, coaches. Leave the cheese analogies alone. This is all terrible.
That's pretty cool that a coach got his comeuppance though.
Yeah.
By actually hurting his hand because he sets he did the whole rat trap nonsense.
Here's the thing, like I guess I don't know, man. Like you're dealing with 22-year-old kids. Like is this what we need? Is this the motivational play? Like just words don't work?
It's 1952. Stop doing that,
Yeah.
guys. Let's have a real conversation. Stop using traps with cheese. This is all stupid. Somebody's going to use fly paper next.
That's a good one. That's not a bad one.
Don't get hung up on the fly paper, fellas.
Yeah.
You got to look at what you're doing out here. You can run into the fly paper. This is ridiculous. All right, Ben, what do we got?
Hey, so I guess it worked for Coach Traylor. They actually beat FAU 36-10. So
Ooh.
Tom Herman was not happy after that. I didn't know if you guys knew that Tom Herman was at FAU
I
or
forgot.
not.
I forgot what Tom Herman was.
I know, and then I forget.
I know he's trying to forget.
Is Tom still swaying back and forth before kickoffs like he's 7?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he still doing that anymore?
I've been wanted to incorporate Tom, so I'm glad we finally got him on here. Something stinky a little bit there, maybe on the campus of FAU.
All right, let's see it.
Frank Harris, he's always been a tough assignment to keep track of, but the defense managed to get 2 interceptions off of him. How would you evaluate the defense for tonight?
Not good. There's not much in the way of the running game, and that's really kind of when FAU was successful in setting up the pass, but without generating much run, how much harder was it to protect the quarterback and get anything sparked on offense?
He starts laughing.
When you don't block them, it makes doing anything on offense hard. And when we did, in the run game, we didn't hit the hole right. And I'm not saying we did very often. And then when we did, we dropped passes. And so, it was a comedy of errors on that side of the football. Like I said earlier, we got hit in the mouth and didn't respond. And I don't know a better way to say that, guys. We can break this down. I'm not trying to be a jerk. And I know you got to ask your questions. But the answers are going to be the same. We stunk. I stunk.
There you go. There's the ownership you're talking
At the
about.
very end, he finally got it in there at the end. Guys, I'm a little worried about him. That's a faraway psycho look on his face. Like, as soon as he sat down and he stared down after that question, I'm thinking, where are you right now? Are you here with us? This isn't going to end well for him.
The thing about Tom Herman, and we have some history going back. You talked about the swaying back to when he was at Houston and they beat Florida State and in that bowl game. But he was the most cocksure. He was, the young, just
Good
kind
use
of
cocksure,
swashbuckling coach. Mm-hmm. And you thought, and he gets a Texas job that doesn't go well. Now he finds himself at FAU. And like you're right, he does look a little bit beaten down.
Beleaguered, just far away gaze.
But like 2 weeks ago, and we tried to find the clip after this game, but I don't think anybody videotaped his press conference. Or no, he didn't get asked about it because Ben wanted to find the clip. When they beat USF a couple weeks ago, like 50-something to 6 or something crazy, and he ran an onside kick in the last minute of the game. So I'm thinking, okay, Tom Herman's got his mojo back.
Yeah, he's back.
And then this happened. So
it's got to be tough. We saw it last week with Rich Rod at Jacksonville State, and he coached at Michigan. Now this guy coached at Texas, and now he's at FAU. It's got to be. He's sitting there in that press conference, obviously mad about what just happened, but also kind of reevaluating his life and his decisions and his coaching future. Like, do I want to keep doing this? I think that's all. When you talk about that far away look, it's like, man, I just wore it by 28 to not Texas A&M or anybody in the
it's a different Texas school.
Yeah, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep doing? That's what it should have been the question that somebody asked. Not about 2 interceptions. Ask if he wants to keep coaching because he didn't look like it.
You make a good point because it's much harder for a head coach who's in the limelight because if you're an assistant, look, all coaches are hired to be fired, and they'll tell you that. But it's easier if you're just an assistant coach, like you were an OC somewhere, or maybe you were an analyst somewhere. You were certainly further down the totem pole. When you're a head coach who's been at Michigan and West Virginia, the way that Rich Rod was, and you're now at Jacksonville State, there's no escaping your reality that you are a miserable failure at every major job you've ever had. And that's how you ended up at Jacksonville State because you couldn't be anywhere else of any significance at this point. Whereas if you're an OC or a DC, man, you'll be flipping around all every which way but Sunday and you don't have to do this. Yeah. Tom Herman sitting up there in front of the FAU crowd getting asked about getting blown out by bums with that faraway gaze waiting to hear, take a look at me now, Phil Collins. I mean, this is heartbreaking. Like he's done.
It's not heartbreaking. It's Tom Herman.
Yeah.
No,
he's not a good guy, so we're not worried about it. But
and both those guys have pretty fat checking accounts and savings accounts. But yeah, the thing about I think to Corey's point about like him sitting in that room is, I was on game day a few years ago. Like now I'm sitting here in this room in an auditorium in Boca Raton, talking to these reporters, being asked about all these questions. And
FAU football.
I did love, my favorite part though is anytime any coach gets to the point in a press conference where like, look, man, you guys can ask me all you want. We stunk. We stink. Yeah. This is who we are. Like, I'm not going to break down plays for you. We're bad. He asked me about the defense. They sucked. He asked me about the offense. They sucked. We all sucked. Do we have to keep doing this?
Yeah. Can we go? Can we sum it up? Is that a good quote?
The subtle, I'm not saying we did it a lot. We talked about the times that they actually made a hole and the running back didn't hit the hole.
Right.
I'm not saying we did it a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but there were a couple times.
Ben, what's next?
Hey, talk about a fall from grace, guys. How about Jim Mora, who is now the coach at UConn? He was a little upset. I guess a couple of his running backs quit on him during the season, so he had something to say about that.
Running back room and the depth at that position has been challenged in a variety of ways this season.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's really been challenged. Having have two guys that quit and left their teammates hanging has really affected us. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that happened. I would not have expected those two young men to do that to their team, but they did. And that's their choice, and so we have to go on. And so that put, the onus on Victor, certainly, and it allowed Cam to kind of step up, and we've seen what Cam's become. I mean, you say this in a positive way. He's a dog, DAWG. I mean, he's got that, and so we've always known Victor had that. But you need more than one for sure, and really, I think you need more than two. This day and age in college football with the number of plays that you're running, and especially the way we like to run the ball.
You would like to have more than one running back. I mean, I think that's
on a team. You're talking about on an entire roster.
Yes.
Think about how vindictive you got to be and how angry you are that you're still throwing shade at guys that aren't even on your team anymore.
The disappointed. For them to do this to their teammates.
He looked like a coffee house guy. He was kind of chilling like a coffee house dude. Like,
but a fall from grace.
He was your coach.
That
Corey.
Dude coached the Falcons in the playoffs. He led them to the playoffs, and now he's at UConn. I mean, coaching football must be awesome. It must be a really fun job.
Well, it's very
literally, truly, it must be. Because why is he doing that to himself? He's got all the money he needs. He coached at UCLA. He coached with the Falcons. I'm sure he got a huge buyout from UCLA. And he's coaching at UConn and putting himself through that.
Didn't he
to have running backs just quit in the middle of the season?
Yeah, he's coached multiple NFL teams.
Yes,
that's right.
And he's at UConn. I think they're 1-5, maybe.
I mean, UConn is perpetually 1-5.
Turning it around, Ira. He's turning it around, buddy.
Two of his running backs did just up and leave the team in the last month. And I looked them up because I was like, oh, okay, who were they? And they were two of his top running backs. I found the one kid's Twitter account, and he's only tweeted once in the last several weeks, and it was retweeting a Deion Sanders tweet. So I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to Colorado next year, but just throwing that out there.
Well, he probably wants to. That doesn't mean Deion wants him. If he was at UConn.
Man, we really seeking UConn running backs?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he's on the short list of who Colorado goes after.
Oh, man. That's a tough
It is. It says something about you as a head coach or your offensive line if running backs are just wholesale quitting the team.
Yes, correct.
A duo. They got together and conspired.
Yeah, twin backs.
It's a shame that they did that, but they did.
It was one first and then the other. So I think like the second guy was like, wait a minute, I got to wear this?
Yeah. I'm taking this beating.
No, the second guy was like, wait, we can just quit? We don't have to do this? This scholarship doesn't make us show up? All right. This is
all yours, Ferguson.
Yeah, go get a Victor. You're a dog. Hey, be a dog. Be a dog. Be a dog. I'm leaving, but be that dog that we know you are.
DAWG. I didn't even know DAWG was the proper spelling for that kind of a dog. So
cool. Absolutely. The other dog is like you're not any good.
Okay.
Right. When you got a dog in you, it's DAWG.
That's true. Ben?
Good to hear.
All right, guys, this is the best thing ever. So someone on Twitter compiled Jimbo Fisher, his execution counter. So over 100 times. I think they had to break it up into 2 videos because of the Twitter limit. We're not going to play all 100 unless you guys are just sick and want to see that. But let me know whenever you want to.
Just give us a taste. Let's give us a taste.
Let's get a good taste, though. Let's hear this.
Right there, we didn't execute. Had a good play. We just got to get it executed. They guys got to execute them just a little bit better. And on 4th and 1, we just got to execute. We had the play. We just got to get it executed.
Fundamentally better and be able to execute it. Well, adjustments is execution. You got to execute what you're doing. Ain't adjustments that need to be made. You got to execute.
Called a hell of a game, and we got to execute a little bit better.
Called a hell of a game.
And get it executed. I mean, you can make all the adjustments in the world, but if you don't execute it and come out and execute.
Allowed you guys to get so much pressure on the quarterback.
Execution. Like with great discipline, great execution, and you got guys that can execute. Bad execution on my part. Talent's one thing. Execution's another. What I was happy about, executed throughout the ball game. Run in, pass well. And guys execute and be able to. We just got to execute. What we keep executing. And the execution on both sides, they consistent plays. Executing and how things were executed. You're looking for overall execution. Kids, greater urgency to execute game, and where you have to really execute on.
Okay, I think we're good.
One thing.
I think we're good. So to give everybody a background here, for those that don't follow the work we do together, we were all at the press conference when this happened after the NC State loss.
2012.
Yeah,
2012.
The famed. And he talked about execution repeatedly over and over and over again, and we knew he was blaming the players. But I do like that he is still consistent. The play was there, guys. The play was there. We just didn't. It's out the gate. Yeah. Guys, it's out the gate. We just didn't execute.
1 inch away from execute. You just got to execute that 1 inch, and you win the game.
Perfect calls.
We told you, A&M fans. We tried to tell you. You made fun of us. You said it's sour grapes. Mm-hmm. We told you what was coming. And it has arrived at your doorstep, and we do not accept your apology. That was nonsense in 2017 when you told us how dumb we were. So, no, we don't accept your apology. Wear it. Enjoy it. Enjoy that another 4 or 5 loss season with one of the worst offenses in the United States. It just doesn't execute. Everything's there.
It's all right there before you could
just find the kid. I mean, look at the film, folks. It's all there if they would just execute.
There was 2 things real quick. So, that 2012 press conference was so good. He said execution so many times. They inexplicably, Florida State was, what were they ranked going into that
3.
game? 3 in the country. It's kind of, it's getting through the season. There's a chance they're in the national championship hunt if they can, just not lose with a 16-0 lead.
16-0 lead at halftime.
16-0 lead at halftime. They lose it. And then in the press conference on Monday, he just all on the players, all on execution.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that Paul Thomas, who used to work with us at Warchant, did a video He did the same thing. He compiled all the uses of execution from that press conference, but we decided not to run it because we felt like that might be provoking Jimbo a little bit. It might be
antagonistic, Ira?
A little bit.
Antagonistic.
So we chose not to do it. And thankfully, a year later, when they won the national championship,
I was going to say they were still ranked 3 at the time when they lost that game, and they had come worlds from where they were. I think A&M doesn't care at all about antagonizing Jimbo at this point. It would appear because they had no issues compiling all that.
Now, I think they're going to win this week, by the way, against South Carolina. But if for some reason they don't, the first question should be, Coach, now I know those were perfect plays.
What
part of those plays were not executed? I want specifics. Which parts? Now, don't just give me the generalized execution. On 2nd and 7, where you threw the pick 6, what was the breakdown in execution?
Who
on that
didn't
play?
execute? And why aren't they executing, Jimbo? Yeah. What do y'all do in practice?
It's been years. How come they can't do it?
Do you practice executing? In practice, do you execute at all?
You know what, guys? Instead of rat traps, maybe they could put little guillotines around the campus to remind them about execution.
Well, it's Texas, so it needs to be electric chairs. It needs to be fake electric chairs. It's Texas.
That's good, too. You could be like, if there's a fifth-year senior, you could be like, Jimbo, Millhouse has been here for 5 years. Yeah. So how come he can't execute?
Can't execute. Can you not teach execution? Is that the problem?
What is it about Millhouse? Right. All right, Ben, what do we got next?
All I know is if you're a football fan, you have to watch South Carolina, Texas A&M this week. Perfect calls all around.
Oh, yeah, man.
That is going to be amazing. Can't wait for that.
Perfect calls everywhere.
Dana Holgorsen, him in Houston, almost knocked off Texas if it wasn't for those pesky refs and their calls down the stretch.
I drive down and score and go for 2 because and that's what I would have done. I think we got the first down. I disagree with what they say. Everybody thinks we got the first down. Should have been first and 8.5 on the 8.5. I think we would have scored. I think we would have ran horns down and went for 2 and won the game 32-31. That's what I think.
Did you have any contact with the Big 12 about those calls on 2nd and 3rd down the spots?
Yeah, I've had a lot of calls, a lot of talks. At the end of the day, the human element gets kicked in, and they make decisions on spots. I thought we got the first down on 2nd down when we threw the ball to Michael Laughlin in the flat. He fell forward and landed on the 8.5-yard line. 8.5 to 9-yard line. They spotted it on the 10, and then I think Stacy, his feet were all over the 9-yard line moving forward. So they disagree. They said that they've confirmed it. You asked the question if it's reviewable. They were reviewing it the whole time for what they said.
Okay, so guys, I don't know how many of you have seen it. I watched that.
Yeah,
he's right. Not wrong.
He's right. He's 100% right.
He's 100% right. And I'm surprised somebody doesn't just flip a table at some point because they absolutely screwed. They may not have scored, but they absolutely got that first down more than once.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Could you imagine? Like how he's pretty I wonder what's in that smoothie there. I wonder how
good point.
Dana's kind of calming his nerves. Because that's crazy.
Oh, it's definitely crazy. And when I saw it happen, I went, "Oh man, they're screwing this guy. They screwed him more than once." It is absolutely crazy.
And it's not like the Big 12 refs want to protect Texas. You wouldn't think. Maybe they do because maybe Texas is a playoff team. If they lose that game, they're not. But in the moment, I don't think that side judge is like, "Oh, this is where we screw them. This is where we screw them. Let's back them up." No. But how do you look at the replay and not say we got that wrong? It's not even close. And I know they don't. The problem with that is when it comes to spots is if they don't have a camera right on the line, they don't overturn it. And just sheer common sense, if they he's right. The guy's legs are on the 9. He has to just get inside the 9. His legs are on the 9. He's leaning forward. Of course, the ball is close to the 8. It's not at the 9-yard line, but they didn't review it. The next 4th down was terrible. And then they lost the game.
I got to give Tim Brando credit, who I think was doing the play-by-play. He said, well, if we look at this angle, he may have it by 2 yards.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And they don't – I'm also not convinced when they say they review every play that they're actually reviewing it.
Well, I think that they can. I think what they do is they pull it up and say, well, we're not going to have a definitive angle, like you said, and we're not going to overturn what they said.
Which sucks because
it does suck.
Either that, then put a camera angle on every yard line. Put a camera on every yard line, or figure out a way to make it a a common sense decision without having right down the line angles.
Or, I mean, it still seems like a chip in the ball or something seems possible. You watch tennis matches, and the Cyclops, I mean, it nails it every time. There's never a dispute.
It could be a millimeter, Ira, and they get it right in tennis.
Preach, Ira, preach.
The thing this week, though, was fascinating was there's a bunch of, as we're, Ben and I are looking at different press conferences, a lot of coaches this week just basically told their conference to screw you, find us. We're complaining. I mean, a bunch of Kirk Ferentz started his press conference by saying, "Hey, Big Ten, just please make the check. Whatever you're gonna find me, at least put that check to a charity.
Yeah,
like give it to a hospital or something."
Right.
I mean, Bielema went after the Big Ten refs. Obviously, Ferentz did. Holgorsen did. Narduzzi did. The ACC refs.
Wake.
Yeah, there's it's Narduzzi brought up. I mean, he said basically like Pitt has gotten screwed repeatedly since they've been in the league. I think we're reaching a boiling point with officiating in college football.
Well, think about what a moment that would have been for Holgorsen. I mean, that Houston program, that win changes the trajectory of your program. Like they got a chance to legitimately win that game. Think about their in-state, the chance to recruit and do all that. I mean, he just got absolutely bent over.
And they're staying in the conference, and the other team is leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, if Texas makes a playoff this year, it's a windfall, obviously, and Houston's not bringing anything. But, to your point, it would have been enormous for Houston in recruiting and everything else, and they're staying in your freaking conference.
So there's one, guys, where we're just not going to say anything bad about Holgorsen here. He's right.
Have another.
Yeah, no lie. Enjoy that smoothie.
Been that smoothie. Keep enjoying that, buddy, because you got the shaft. Go ahead, Ben.
Corey mentioned Pat Narduzzi. That's who's next up. He was upset with the officials in the ACCs. Had it with these damn ACC refs.
This game, you guys have the most penalties, the most penalty yards in the ACC. What do you guys have to do as coaches and your players to fix that?
Sometimes you feel hated on, okay, and I don't share these with you. I don't share these with you weekly about what goes into the ACC office, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to talk about what comes back, but sometimes you feel like it just needs to be called both ways, and sometimes you feel like it's not as a coach. I don't think our guys get emotional when it happens to them. I mean, you go back and watch A.J. Woods. I mean, he's on there. It's a tiny little tug, and the guy is jamming. And supposedly, when you lock your arm out, it's supposed to be called as offensive pass interference, but it doesn't get called. So I don't know, But when someone's pushing me off, I'm grabbing on, for dear life too. So, You figure by now some of these penalties. You hope so, but every game's a different game on the road, and different stuff is happening to you. People are stemming. I mean, they got a guy clapping on the we're trying to punt the ball and we clap cadence. It's supposed to be a violation. Go back and watch their linebacker 45 is clapping. There's no call. I don't know why, but just luck of the draw, I guess.
Corey, you got some stats on Wake Forest.
Well, that's just Wake Forest. Yeah, that's who Pitt.
But this is one of the games. Yeah.
For the people that didn't watch. So the last two conference games that Wake has played at home, the only two this year, they've been flagged 6 times. Jeff, Wake Forest has for 51 yards, 6 for 51. Their two opponents, 27 for 243. That's the difference. Now, they lost one of them to Georgia Tech, even though Georgia Tech had 14 penalties for 140 yards. They still
buckle up, Florida State fans. Buckle up.
We know it anyway. Anytime you go into Wake, you have no idea what's going to happen in that stadium. It's weird that they're like the protected football team. NC State to a lesser degree, but Wake Forest is just like, going in, you're going to get whistled or flagged for 8 to 10 penalties.
And I don't want to blame this for why Florida State ended up being on the wrong end of a pretty lopsided game. I mean, go all the way back, though, when we were the punt situation, and then they hit supposedly out of bounds the last time they were up at Wake.
Oh, yeah.
That began the onslaught, man.
Yeah.
It was because that was third down. You're off.
Yeah, you'd actually got to stop.
Back.
No, you're right. There was a lot of people that are watching this don't have any idea, but during Florida State's loss to Wake Forest, there's a play. Florida State gets a third down stop.
Yes.
The DB hits a guy right on the line. An official that literally, if you watch it from any angle you want,
came out of the stands.
There's no chance in the world he saw that play. He could not have, where everybody was and where he was, he could not have seen it. But, man, that flag comes flying in from 30 yards away.
And they go down and score, and it's just the onslaught. Yeah, man, that was awful. Now, they got blown out, so a lot of people ignored that play. But I'm telling you, these things matter. If you get the ball back there and go down and score, it's probably not going to be the way that it ends up. It's nuts.
Yeah, so
Narduzzi's team did earn, I thought, those 2 personal foul on sportsmanlike. After they intercepted the pass, they could have won them the game. They get 2 personal fouls right afterwards on unsportsmanlike. And instead of having the ball at their 40, they have it at their 10. And then they have to punt from their own end zone because the quarterback didn't know to dive for it instead of slide. And then Wake Forest scores with 7 seconds left.
Now, he acknowledges, like, the kid shouldn't have picked somebody off the pile. But, like, he said his kid got bumped and then he responded. Did you see the full thing? I didn't see.
No, I saw his guy after the interception. The Wake guy has the Pitt DB like wrapped up and tackled,
right?
And then the Pitt safety comes over, grabs him, and yanks him off,
right?
Like it's a pile. I mean, that
I think they're copping to that one.
Oh, okay, all right.
But then there was a second one that is again 15 yards is one thing, 30 yards.
That's tough. That's tough. Change the game. But hey, that happens at Wake. You got to know that going in.
Narduzzi's a good coach. His teams in the past have been disciplined. I tend to side with him. Well, really, I tend to side with any coach over the ACC. So, there we go. I mean,
I was gonna do. Corey wants me to remind you about Artesia Water every week, so I was doing my part.
It'd be cool if we didn't have to, Ira, but that's just a lot we live.
I always know the exact spot we're in the show.
Yeah,
I time it. It's based on field, guys. I've been doing this a long time. You guys got to let me ease.
I'll be honest, Jeff. You're not executing at all when it comes to this Artesia Water, Reed. I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there.
Guys, I'm not going to forget about it. It's plastered across your screen the whole time we're on here. It's right there. ArtesiaWater.com. I've got the water service. Ira's got the water service.
I do too.
Corey's got
the
water service.
I got it.
Let's go.
And you're right. It is. It's crazy. It's crazy cold.
It's the coldest
I don't think I've ever had water cold. Yeah.
I've been in Alaska and the water wasn't this cold. Sweet Jesus.
It's insane. It's awesome. It's really cool to have that because my refrigerator stopped producing water, so I couldn't go get my. You put your cup in under the fridge, and
you know how to get water from the.
You guys have seen one of those fridges.
Yeah.
They're new, but some of these fridges these days you can get water and ice from the freezer part of it just by pushing your cup
Corey,
against
they've
the little
been doing
button.
that for 35 years.
Yeah, new one. It's just new technology. I don't know if it's made it to where you live out there.
You don't have to worry about any of this with the Artesia Water, folks.
Could you
locally sourced?
Hold on, Jeff. Could you clarify this again, Corey? You're telling me people walk up to their refrigerator, and just hold out a cup. And
can you believe it? It's like the Jetsons. It's like we're living in the Jetsons all of a sudden. But yeah, people do that.
Cars.
Yeah, people do that, but I don't have to anymore. Number one, I couldn't, so I was having to drink tap water. Well, that's done. Yeah. Now I got that big old jug hanging down with the coldest water on earth.
And here's the good news, Corey. They're going to come and take your empty jugs and
isn't that awesome?
With full jugs.
So they gave me 4 jugs, and then when I'm done with that, they recycle and bring me more. Yeah, that's awesome. It really is. Like I absolutely need it, and I drink more water than anybody I know, so this is perfect.
Some other people probably knew that you could get water in your house before you did, Corey. But we're telling you, if you live in North Florida, over to Madison and Perry, across to the Panhandle, into South Alabama, South Georgia. Go to artesiawater.com, ARTEZIA water.com. There's a pull-down menu where you can enter information to request a quote or information about getting in your home or your office or your whatever facility you want. And if you mention Coach Speak, they'll give you your first month service free.
Nice.
Like these guys, and it's so easy, right? I mean, the cooler just shows up.
It was there.
They will install it for you, but you don't need. The 3 of us can install it by ourselves.
Mine was installed. He asked if I wanted it installed. Yeah. Well, I wasn't there. I let him in. I told him to go in.
Installed anyhow. He wouldn't have figured out how to plug it in.
No, I would still be drinking out of the faucet.
He'd be holding up the 5-gallon.
holding it that way.
Football practice back in the day. Yeah.
Artesiawater.com. Artesia with a Z. ARTEZIA water.com.
Ben, next. What do we got?
Hey, so we mentioned Kirk Ferentz, Iowa head coach. They had a heartbreaking loss. The punt return touchdown, that was a legal fair catch signal. Obviously, he was asked about that. There's several minutes of him discussing that, but he was later asked about his abysmal offense, and he defended it yet again, guys. This is crazy.
With Deacon, he was 6 for 21 a few weeks ago, 6 for 14, and now 10 of 28.
Yep.
How much, or you've shown a reluctance to go to Joe
Yeah, so on that topic, I'll just say this. Okay, for 25 years, we watch guys in practice. We evaluate what they do in practice. And then moving forward, and then, yeah, certainly game performance is a big part of it. But, if it's close, neck and neck, that type of thing, then you rotate guys in and take a look at them. But, I don't think we're insane. You go with what you see in practice and try to make the best decisions at all positions, not just quarterback. Obviously, quarterback's the one that attracts the attention. But, I'm just standing here right now, and we'll see what next week brings. But I'm trying to think of the history since I've been here. How many? We had it whatever it would have been 8 back and forth. With 2 guys. Then CJ and Jake went back and forth a little bit. But typically, there's a clear 1, a clear 2, and it's not. I'm not saying that in a demeaning way to the guy that's 2, but it's just
not at all.
That's what it is, and you kind of go with it from there.
So I think the media that cover Iowa now have just given up on asking the questions about his son.
Oh yeah.
So now they're like, have you thought about maybe changing your quarterback who completes like 12% of his passes?
So the funniest part about all this is that after that game, most of the attention is, of course, on the egregious call from the Big Ten refs. Yet the whole time I'm thinking, why are you in that position, trailing by 2 at home with a minute to play against sorry-ass Minnesota?
You've allowed 12 points. You've allowed 12 points, and you're losing the game.
Yeah.
And the only way you have a chance to score is a punt return because you have the worst
punt return. It's
it's great.
What did he do on the sideline and tight-roping just to score? That's sheer desperation to find the end zone. They see it so infrequently. It's unreal.
So they are 130th out of 130 teams in total offense. They average 230 yards per game.
Yeah.
You say yes, and we know they're bad. This is catastrophic. You have the best defense in the United States, maybe the best defense we've ever seen to still be a good team with the worst offense in football. And can you imagine being an Iowa fan? You love the dad. The dad has made Iowa football semi-relevant the last 10 years. They're a good program.
Yeah.
But his son is the worst OC that has ever breathed oxygen, and you still allow him to do this to your program.
Well, that's why they have the clause, and they are fast-tracked towards a firing, my friend, because this has not gotten better.
Dude, he did so. Towards the end of the press conference, somebody did ask him about the clause. Like, Coach, this is not helping your son's clause. He's got to score 25 points a game. And Kirk's like, look, we're not worried about that. We're just worried about winning. And hey, if we had gotten that punt return had counted, we would have been closer.
But you should have played that clip. That would have been awesome. But also, they're averaging 19.5 points per game, Jeff, right now. They got to get to 25.
25 a game, but also I'm pretty sure that's offensive points. I don't think you get credit for a defensive touchdown.
Well, they're
apparently,
in trouble.
According to Coach Ferentz, you do, because he was lamenting that punt return.
Well, if that's the case, then what was the point of the clause? They could beat people 21-0 all year long with that defense. Good Lord.
I do like that specific question was about the quarterback. Again, like, hey, man, ain't going to change quarterbacks.
I don't think we're insane is a good line.
That's a good line. And it's always that's like the age-old thing that's always, tough coaches are like, hey, we're at practice, so we see him at practice. But the great part about it is he's like, look, it's not close. Like, number 2 is not even close to this guy who stinks.
Awful.
But I don't mean to disrespect him. He's like, I don't mean
If you think this kid's terrible, you should see his backup.
Yeah.
I mean, my God. You've never seen – I don't know how this kid ever got here.
How did we sign him?
I mean, why did we bring this kid in? He's a bum. Stop asking me about that bum.
Yeah, he's terrible. He can't play. He can't play, just like anybody that we ever put on that side of the ball ever. Can't play. We'll have a tight end, and we'll have a center.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, we got nobody.
They have a great offensive line every year.
What does it matter? What does it matter?
It doesn't. Ben, next.
Hey, we've got 2 more guys. Next up is PJ Fleck, who beat Kirk Ferentz and Iowa. It's a 2-parter. I know you guys like your 2-part questions in the press conferences, so we'll start with this one to start things off.
What do you look to see improvements when it comes to coverage units?
Well, the last play, you guys haven't even asked me about that yet. Someone going to ask me about that? No, your plan's not to ask me about that?
We talked about post game, so.
Oh, yeah, but I got a chance to watch some film. All right, so what's your question? No, let's. I'll talk about coverage all you want. Let's
Ben,
just talk.
can you pause
How
for a
many
second?
minutes I got left? Let's talk about some coverage.
Have you ever seen a coach that thirsty to talk about anything?
I mean, my God.
Yeah, he really has an answer all lined up.
He is
ready to
fired
go.
up
Yeah.
because what happened, after the game, Ferentz went off this long thing about how it was a terrible call. And then Ferentz, again, in his press conference, did double down on 2 days later. And, PJ wants to retort.
Well, and I get it, right? Like, in the reporters should be, like, asking him about Ferentz's response. Because in the post game, you don't know what they've said because you're in another room. You don't know what the Iowa coaches said, and then you get them 2 days later. Just kind of letting everybody know how it goes. So you do want to get his reaction to Kirk Ferentz's reaction, I would think. But, they didn't.
It's coming. It's going to
All right,
come.
good.
Now let's talk coverage. So we'll get there. But
After reviewing the film of that,
Look at his smile.
Any other further thoughts on it?
Well, there's nothing controversial about it. Nothing controversial. Offsides is offsides. False start's a false start. A hold is a hold. Invalid fair catch signal is an invalid fair catch signal. Now, the way the rule states is invalid fair catch, so everybody thinks it's above your shoulder and it has to look like a fair catch. That's not part of the rule. The other part of the rule that was implemented years ago is the poison rule. When you poison or peter any call, you cannot advance that ball. You can point to a ball. That's fine. But with one hand, you can't shoo away people at all. You can't do that. We got called for that weeks ago, if you remember. We shooed people away from the ball, caught it, wanted to return it, and it was blown dead. The only thing that should have happened, right, and I'm not a referee, nor am I blaming anyone, is it should have been just blown dead right there. Don't even let that play happen because it doesn't exist. The play doesn't even exist because it's a poison and a Peter call, and it's a dead ball. No controversy about it.
That's the most normal PJ Fleck has ever been.
He won.
He's going to get a little weird in part two. But
there's another part. Okay.
Well, the part two is about a different topic. But I agree with you. I thought, I've always been a little bit fuzzy on that because we've covered a couple games where there's been a controversial, decision about a punt return, whether or not it's fair catch or not, and all that. It's interesting I don't know, man. That's I don't know. We don't cover the Big Ten, so I don't know how much hostility is already there between either PJ Fleck and Ferentz or Iowa and Minnesota or whatever. But it seems like, man, there's some stuff brewing in the.
That's for the Floyd of Rosedale. This is a war out there. That Iron Pig is at stake.
Oh, they play for an Iron Pig?
They play for a big Iron Pig. It's a big to do, man. And then also, I will just say this: it's a stupid rule, but he's not wrong. That is the rule. That is the rule. And I actually, the only reason I know that is I went and looked it up right afterwards because I thought, well, that can't be right. But it is right. The refs, as ugly as it is, actually made the right call. They did.
So once a punt return guy starts shooing guys away, you can't return it.
To shut it down. Yeah.
Well, that's dumb.
And he does it more than once if you watch it. Now,
what's funny about that, and that's what's funny about that whole thing is where Ferentz comes off as very disingenuous. And look, man, he's in desperate straits. He's probably trying to save his son's job. But
good luck.
The kid has got the one hand. He's got like the one arm like pointing at the ball, which is fine. Right. But then the other arm, as he's running, he's like doing that motion, which is the problem. But Ferentz says, "Oh, he's just trying to keep his balance." He's like, that's what he said. He goes, he's just running. When you run, you move your arms.
Yeah, he's a Walinda. He's a Walinda trying, oh, God, I don't want to fall into the Great Canyon.
He's about to fall off that tightrope, Corey. He can die.
He's an Iowa skill guy, so maybe they can't run straight without having to do this.
Maybe his son's told all the receivers, that's how you have to run.
And that's why they can't get open. Yeah, that's why they can't get open.
So anyway, Kirk lost me there.
Keep it rolling, Ben.
So yeah, this is part two. Of course, PJ had to get a nice PJ Fleck analogy in.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man, no. Don't cite 9/11 about this punt return.
Today is still not letting it go. He's trying to say, well, the kid's trying to keep his balance. I mean, does that play into it? I don't want to bait you for that. But
we still had to go play football. That play did not exist, right? So you still had to go play football. Next play, our players respond. We have a sack. Then we have an interception. You get pulled over for speeding. Do I know why I pulled you over? No. Well, you're going 25 miles over the speed limit. I was just keeping up with the flow of traffic. I mean, we still had to make plays.
What?
We still had to go make plays.
Okay. Now I see it. Yeah. No, now you see. Don't act like you don't understand that analogy. It's
well,
perfect.
that makes it crystal clear.
Yeah. It crystallized it for everybody to see.
Yeah.
You know how when somebody gets an illegal punt return, and then you go get a sack on the next play.
It's a little bit
that's like That's like getting pulled over, and you don't know why you got called speed. Jeff, yeah. I'm tired of having to explain his analogies to you as if they don't make sense.
From here on out, if he would embrace this and make up nonsensical analogies the rest of the way,
it would be incredible.
What an incredible thing. Like after the game, let's say they beat somebody 9-6 in truly Minnesota fashion. And he'd be like, you know what that's like? That's like that time I went swimming. I remember it was a lake. It was a Tuesday, and it was August. And, we've all gone swimming before, but it was warm, and we swam for hours.
Yeah, it didn't have a life preserver either.
It was nuts. So you guys get it, right?
Yeah, you guys get what we're saying. It's swimming without a life preserver in 3 feet of water.
Just talk about anything. It's a little bit like when you buy socks. What?
Yeah. Some are longer than others, but in the pack they're the same size.
Or when you always lose that one sock, where did it go? It's in my house.
Yeah, then it turns into a Seinfeld. It turns into a Jerry Seinfeld skit. What's the deal with socks?
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about PJ Fleck is
every week, and it would be awesome.
The beautiful thing about PJ Fleck is, as you said before in the earlier segment, that's the most normal he's ever sounded.
Yeah. And then he flipped it. Yeah.
And then he comes up with this. You had us. Stop talking.
And then you come up with driving and a speeding ticket and flow of traffic with the what?
Hey, you still got to make plays, Jeff. Still got to make plays.
I do love that part of the front. That is the great ribbon on that game, though. So Iowa gets their punt return. They're desperately called back, and it's not going to happen. Okay, now you got to play offense. I think they still had like 90 seconds.
And you only need a field goal.
Sack and a pick.
Interception. Good night.
Perfect. Iowa football.
Iowa offensive thing ever.
11 guys running around like this.
Yeah, can't keep their balance.
Like this, and there's a sack, yeah. And don't worry, it wouldn't have been better with that backup in there. I promise you that.
Nope, he'd have thrown it backwards.
No chance. That dude's 3 feet tall.
He's blind in one eye.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I think we're good, right?
Last one.
We got one more. We had to save the best for last. This is Dabo after the Miami loss. Dabo, my guy's going through it.
Yeah, he is.
To Miami, hard fought win, and hey, ebbs and flows in the game on both sides, and they found a way to win, and we found a way not to win. So just an unbelievably disappointing game. You got to what we want, we have to deserve, and we didn't deserve what we wanted. We obviously wanted to win, and we didn't deserve it. We deserved exactly what we got, because when you when you turn the ball over, the way we're turning the ball over,
and then the camera zooms in on the mic.
We turn the ball over the way we turn the ball over.
Oh, he knocked everything down.
It's hard to win. I mean,
just to be clear, that was an RPO on the last play.
No, it was a handoff. 100%. We had a handoff. Just pulled it. I got no answer. Just trying to do too much. So no RPO. It's a give, and we just didn't do it. I can't.
So some coaches have employed sports psychiatrists. Have you ever done that?
Oh, we got him. He's probably on suicide watch right now. Yeah. We got him.
Oh no.
Yeah, he had to. I think he issued an apology the next day
for that. I knew that was coming. Can I just tell you, he is very, very close to slapping that mic off the wall.
Yeah.
Like when he put it back up, Corey. We've been
it's real close.
It's close. I've seen that. I've been that kind of angry. I've seen that before. There, he is this close to just being like, you know what? It's just
when he tries to put it back on the podium and it kind of fumbles again, he's like, you know what? Go, and then just smashes
that
it.
close. Everybody go back and watch him readjust that mic.
He wants to throw it through the wall.
He's a second away from throwing that thing.
And if he had been talking about the handoff or non-handoff as he was fumbling with the mic, he might have broken it in half and thrown both of them up against
the maddest my dad ever got at me. Well, maybe one of the top 5 times he was most mad at me. I left a bunch of homework papers and stuff on the table in our dining room, and he was trying to find something. He couldn't find it, and he's like, "It's probably in those papers." And he goes over and he's fumbling through the papers, and then he just takes all of my stuff and just throws it on the. He's so mad, and he's like, "Clean this crap up." I'm like, "It wasn't there 2 seconds ago." Like you.
Yeah.
He's more mad at me because now the mess is on the floor. Anyway, I can feel that in Dabo.
I'm going to watch that again when we're done. I've been there. It is that close, man. And anybody who's a parent watching that has been in that moment where you're telling your kids something and they don't listen, and then you tell them again and they don't listen. And like that third time, you're like, you know what? We're getting real close here.
And usually when a coach is asked about, because he handled it better when Klubnik made the wrong decision against Florida State in the overtime by throwing it on 3rd and an inch, and then losing 1.5 yards.
Yeah,
this one he's like
compassion the first time.
He's like, maybe we got to coach him better. He's got to know. We got to tell him. You just
really they told him you've got to give when we tell you to give.
And then this one, he's like, he's not protecting him at all. He's like, nope. You're going to wear this, kid. It was a handoff to last time I checked, a pretty good running back.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good running back that's pretty hard to tackle. He might get 1 yard, but instead we got our freshman quarterback, dolly, picking and trying to beat that kid to the edge.
He could run from now until the end of time, and he's not finding that.
He's not turning the corner. He should have turned back the other way.
I think maybe at some point the other kid would have got bored. Or distracted.
Yeah, he's just chasing them for 1.5 miles.
Yeah. We've all been matched up against somebody who's physically superior to us. It's one thing to deal with that. It's another when they toy with you, like a cat does a mouse.
Yeah, just kind of pushing them every now and again.
Sideways, that dude could be like, where are you going?
Where you going? Yeah, where you see? Hey, have you turned the corner yet? Have you turned the corner? Did you get the ball to Shipley?
You want to try to cut back now?
Go ahead, buddy. What you got? You got nothing. It's just awful.
He could have just not even tackled him out of bounds.
Yeah.
Just stood in front of him.
Oh,
yeah. Just kind of guarding him like he's got.
Want to go up in the stands?
Yeah. So Dabo was quite upset with good reason, but his team played horribly for the first 60 minutes too. It wasn't
everybody
just that one
watching
play.
Coach speak. Be on the lookout. We're close to a moment, either a pounding of the dais, a throwing of papers, a knocking. We're close. One more Clemson loss, guys. We may get it. Hey, Ben, great job. For Corey and Ira, I'm Jeff. Don't forget, artesiawater.com. They're the best of the best. And that water is cold.
Very cold.
Tasty.
Cold.
Tasty. Very tasty,
good.
too, yeah.
Very, very good. Until next time, be well, everybody.